All right, fifth grade, we're now at the end of our unit for subtracting fractions. So we're going to do fraction subtraction review. Watch this video before you take the post test, okay? Watch this video before you take the post test. First thing we're going to be reviewing is how to simplify my fractions. All right, remember that a tens chart, or in this case a 12s chart, is going to be really important to help you figure out how to simplify a fraction. All right, so let's look at a fraction, a pretty simple one. Let's say that I have 10/15. Is that in simplest form? Well, what I do is I go to any column that I can find 10 and 15 in both of them. So let's circle. Okay. There's a 10 here. Is there a 15? Nope, get rid of it. Where else is there a 10? Here's a 10. Is there a 15? You bet. 10/15. All right. Remember, easiest way to simplify a fraction then is to just take this fraction and move all the way till I hit the gray bar. 10/15 equals 8/12 equals 6/9 equals 4/6 equals 2/3. Which one's the simplest? 2/3. 10/15 simplified equals 2/3. Okay. Now I can also go the same way to write it in higher terms. Very rarely will you ever have to do that, but in your test you're going to have to do it. So what can 10/15 be in higher terms? Well, I can take that bar and move to the right. Those are all equivalent fractions. What's the greatest of them? 24/36. So 10/15 equals 2/3 equals 24/36. You can use your tens chart to do the same thing to find equivalent fractions, okay? Well, what if they're not touching each other like that? Well, here's what I can do. If they're not touching each other, let's say I've got a fraction like, let's say 10/20, right? Or no, that one can equal each other. Let's say 10/22. All right, let's go into the columns until we can find 10 and 22. Here's 10, but is there 22? No, and plus that what's ones, it doesn't count. There's 10. Is there 22? Yes. 10/22s is on there, even though they're not directly on top of each other. I can still follow the same strategy of moving all the way to the left. 5 what? 5/11s. So 10/22s equals 5/11s in simplest form. Or you can move it all the way the other way. All of these are going to be equivalent. So even all the way up to 60/132s. 60/132 equals 5/11s equals 10/12s. So use your multiplication chart to help you simplify fractions. All right, now let's review how to change improper fractions. All right, if you haven't done so yet, even though I've asked you to do it already, grab a piece of paper, a sticky note, the inside of a cereal box, something to write this on, and keep it with all your school stuff, okay? Make a little poster out of it or something. You need to remember that whole number in my numerator over my denominator equals my whole number times my denominator plus my numerator over my denominator. Okay, that's something you need to remember. Why do I need to do that? Well, let's say that we've got a fraction that tells me 1 and 1/2. Okay, I can use this formula to just say, well, it's 1 times 2 plus 1 over 2. Crunch the numbers. 1 times 2 is 2. 2 plus 1 is 3. 2 stays the same. So 1.5 becomes 3/2. All right, now there's one other way. Going from a mixed number, or I'm sorry, from an improper fraction to a mixed number. You need to write this down as well. Numerator over denominator equals division bar, numerator in the box, denominator outside the box. Your quotient is your whole number, and your remainder is your new numerator. When would I have to do that? Well, let's say we've got 15 over 7 equals fraction bar, 15, 7 outside. 15 divided by 7 is 2. 2 times 7 is 14. 15 subtract 14 is 1. 2 remainder 1. That becomes the mixed number of 2 and 1/7. Okay? So these two things, write them down. I kind of like that idea. Take the inside of a cereal box, rip out the box, write this down, and tape it to the wall above where you do your school stuff. Keep it in front of you all the time until you have it memorized. All right, now the last thing we're going to work with is just simply how to subtract fractions. All right, so first example, let's just do something pretty easy. Let's say 5/11 subtract 4/11. Okay. My denominator stays the same, still going to be 11. 5 subtract 4 is 1. So 5/11 subtract 4/11 gets me 1/11. So that's not too hard. Let's do another one. Let's make this one a little bit harder. Let's say I've got 10 subtract 1.5. Okay. Well, I need to regroup. 10, if I'm borrowing from the 10, becomes 9 and 2/2. 9 and 2/2 equals 10. Subtract 1 and 1/2. You see, now that I've regrouped, I can subtract. 2/2 subtract 1/2 is 1/2. 9 subtract 1 is 8. 8 and 1/2. See, and it's important that you gain this knowledge because this is the type of math you can't just punch into a calculator. You need to just be able to do it either in your head or on paper. If you need a review how I changed that 10 into a 9 and 2/2, take the video and go back 1 minute to where I had that colored chart that I told you to make a poster out of, okay? So my answer, I get 8.5. All right. And then one more thing that we're going to be working with is what if I have unlike denominators? Okay, so what if I have 1/2 subtract 1/3, right? I got to get a common denominator. Can I change a 2 into a 3? No, I can't. But is there a number that I can change a 2 and a 3 into? How about 6? Let's do that. Denominator of 6. Yeah, how do you change a 3 into a 6? 3 times 2 equals 6. Whatever I do to the bottom, I do to the top. 1 times 2 is 2. Let's convert the top one now. How do you change a 2 into a 6? 2 times 3 is 6. 1 times 3 is 3. So now I have 3 6 subtract 2 6. Now that I have that common denominator, I can go ahead and crunch those numbers. Denominator is going to stay 6. 3 subtract 2 is 1. So 1/2 subtract 1/3 gets me 1 6. And then also part of your post test, you have 3 word problems, which we've been working with all week. All right, now that you have that down, you can go ahead and take your post test. You may use your multiplication chart and your fraction poster to help you be successful. It's your post test number 23 at the bottom.